Good day to all of you, friends, and thank you for joining us today for a very, very important session on Gemini. Now, see also another webinar that we presented in June 2023 entitled Why is Gemini Important? There are also other material in that webinar, which we won't have time to go into today because I have revamped and emphasized other points on today's presentation. So before we start, friends, let's very quickly link up as a group using DK's visualization so that we can be immersed in DK's consciousness so that we can really understand all that he's saying about Gemini. Now raise your consciousness as high as you possibly can. Endeavor then to hold steadily, unwaveringly in the light, in the group light. Realize too that DK's on the other side is also standing steady, pouring out upon us his love and strength, and endeavoring to lift us up into a higher state of consciousness. And visualize ahead of us a disk or a sphere of indigo blue, a deep indigo blue. And imagine DK standing in the center of that disk, waiting. Then see a band of golden light between us and the disk, gradually shortening, thus bringing us closer together, slowly and steadily, until we enter into the heart of the blue disk. Then we will sound one Om, as if then we are in DK's presence. Gemini, and the ray of love. We are told that love underlies the entire universe, not just our Earth or the solar system, but the entire universe. God is love, we are assured, and this statement is both an exoteric and an esoteric truth. Now, this underlying love of deity reaches our solar system primarily through Gemini, which forms with the constellation the Great Bear and the Pleiades a cosmic triangle. Gemini forms a point of entrance for cosmic energy from Sirius, then into our solar system. And this cosmic energy is the source of Buddhi, of cosmic love. And why is that so? Because Sirius is the soul of the solar logos. Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces are the four signs forming the four arms of the mutable cross. Now, this mutable cross is therefore significantly concerned and connected with the Christ life and with the unfoldment of a world Savior, and is particularly potent during the anti-clockwise turning of the great wheel. That is, as the soul is reorienting itself towards the soul, and therefore it goes from Pisces to Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, then anti-clockwise on the great wheel. Gemini is the force which produces the changes needed for the evolution of the Christ consciousness at any particular point in time and space, while Virgo is the nurturing force of substance itself, subject to the 9 cyclic changes of the cosmic gestation period. What's important about Virgo is that it fosters and protects the embryonic Christ life, preparing for manifestation or a divine incarnation, or the birth of the Christ consciousness. And Sagittarius, the third arm of the mutable cross, is the energetic activity of the life force, demonstrating at the 6th month, when esoterically speaking, the 3 aspects of the form nature and the 3 aspects of the soul are integrated and functioning. And finally, Pisces is the life expression and the active appearance of the Christ consciousness in form. And it is also the energetic appearance, symbolically speaking, of a world Savior, the birth of the Christ consciousness. So we can see then the stupendous influence of Gemini in the macrocosm, because Gemini determines the paramount influence within the fourfold influence of the mutable cross. And Gemini is the force which produces the changes needed for the evolution of the Christ consciousness. Why? Because Gemini and its inherent second-ray influence of love and wisdom controls every one of the pairs of opposites in the great wheel. The second ray of love and wisdom pours through Gemini, hence love underlies the entire universe. God is love, we are told, thus making Gemini one of the most important of the 12 signs, and its influence lies behind every one of them. Love is the synthetic ray of our solar system. So then verily, as DK says, and indeed, God is love. And this ray is the indigo ray, and it's the blending ray, the synthetic ray. It is the one which will, at the end of the greater cycle, absorb the others in the achievement of synthetic perfection. It is the manifestation of the second aspect of logoic life. Apart from the importance of the influences of Gemini as the most dominant power in the mutable cross, it is one of the paramount zodiacal sign in that it is the major symbol of duality in the zodiac. It's the constellation Gemini and its inherent second ray influence which controls every one of the pairs of opposites in the great wheel. So that's quite an arresting statement. Gemini controls every one of the pairs of opposites in the great wheel. So this sign, Gemini, is sometimes called the constellation of the resolution of duality into a fluid synthesis. Governing, as it does, all the pairs of opposites in the zodiac, it preserves the magnetic interplay between them, keeping them fluid in their relations, in order eventually to facilitate their transmutation into unity. For the two must finally become the one. For instance, the Leo subject, who has an initiated consciousness, preserves the individuality developed in Leo, as well as the universality of Aquarius. He can function, if he so wishes, as a fully self-identified individual, yet possesses simultaneously a fully awakened universal awareness. And that is due to the inherent synthetic force of the ray 2 that brings things together, that glues things together. However, it should be remembered that from the angle of the final development of the 12 zodiacal potencies, the 12 opposites must become the blended 6, and this is brought about by the fusion in consciousness of the polar opposites. It's fusion in consciousness. So let's pause and consider that phrasing. Fusion in consciousness of the two opposites. blending, merging, and becoming one. Gemini gives the sense of the dual nature of man, human and divine, which is the goal of consciousness, of experience upon the mutable cross. And in the ordinary man, in Gemini, he will experience the pairs of opposites. There will be a pronounced and separative duality. The interplay is between the twins, the soul and the form nature, clashing in conflict. But on the reverse wheel, in Gemini, the man fuses in consciousness the opposites. It's the intelligent work of at-one-ment, of synthesis, of coming together, but without losing the quality of both, just like we saw earlier on. So then these two, the soul and body, become then the two allied brothers. And just like the two brightest stars in the constellation Gemini, Pollux, the immortal brother whose light waxes, while Castor, the mortal brother's light, wanes, symbolize the relation between the two opposites. And at a higher level still, Gemini relates the two opposites, soul and spirit. So Gemini brings the two together, soul and body, but also on the higher turn of the spiral, soul and spirit. So through the activity of Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, the man whose sun in Gemini is aided to attain the synthesis of soul and form, soul and body, becoming one. But through the activity of Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, the polar opposite of Gemini, the man whose rising sign in Gemini is enabled to attain the conscious integration of soul and spirit. And Gemini, via Venus, the esoteric ruler of Gemini, awakens in humanity the focal point of our planetary effort, humanity, that sense of duality, which is the basic factor in the conflict between desire and spiritual will. Now, Jupiter has been in Gemini since May 25 last year and will remain in Gemini until June the 9th, 2025. That is in little over a week, right up to the full moon of Gemini on the 10th. At the moment, it is 27 degrees in Gemini. So therefore, Jupiter is instrumental in helping those advanced disciples on earth to fuse soul and spirit in preparation for the reappearance of the Christ. And especially this year, Gemini being the most important spiritual festival, which will be the Christ festival. So hence the keynote of the disciple in Gemini. I recognize my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. So like the two allied brothers, Castor and Pollux, the power of the personality, the form or desire, or the mortal body, Castor, lessens and wanes, whilst that of the soul or spirit, the immortal brother, Pollux, waxes and grows. Now Venus, as we know, is the Earth's alter ego and is its true supplementary and complementary planet. So we have thus established a double dual relationship, that of Gemini itself between the two brothers, Castor and Pollux, and that of Earth and Venus. The Earth is peculiarly related to the brother whose light is waning, for it's not a sacred planet, and to that aspect of divinity which is material or substantial. So Earth is, in a way, related to Castor, the mortal brother, while Venus is closely related to the brother whose light grows stronger cycle by cycle, and thus to the soul whose nature is love, Pollux. So it's the energies of the fifth, fourth, and third rays pouring through Venus, Mercury, and the Earth, the three rulers of Gemini, that are productive of the eternally recurring divine triplicity and its work of releasing the soul from the influence of form. So that's a very important statement here. Its work, that is the triplicity of Venus, Mercury, and Earth, of releasing the soul from the influence of form, remembering that both Venus and Mercury are both sacred planets. And what does that mean? It means that sacred planets are expressive of soul and spirit, with their personality ray subordinated to these two higher rays of soul and spirit. It's a bit parallel to a man after the third initiation. So these sacred planets are vitally responsive to the life of Sirius, and they have taken 5 cosmic initiations, whereas a non-sacred planet, such as the Earth, is subject to the ray of the personality of the informing life, which is in this case the Logos. A sacred planet is only registering a sensitive response to the life of Sirius. And he has taken 3 cosmic initiations. So we can see the difference between the influence of a sacred planet to that of a non-sacred planet. Non-sacred is still under or subject to the influence of its personality and hasn't quite bound soul and form together, while the sacred planet is way, way ahead and is already binding soul and spirit. Mercury and Venus are in process of transmutation. And the monastic principle in both these schemes, the mind principle, having reached a high stage of development, is being transmuted into love wisdom. So about Venus, owing to Venus being in its 5th round, its humanity is consequently much, much further advanced than ours, because he is a sacred planet. So what does that really mean? It means that Buddhi is fully expressive through the perfected mind of its humanity. We are in our 4th round, whereas Venus is in its 5th, so way ahead of us. While Mercury is even more advanced. We're not being given any other information than it is one with the sun, and it's even more occult and mysterious than Venus. So to what degree it is in its process of transformation, I'm not sure, but certainly way, way ahead of Earth, a non-sacred planet. So in both these rulers of Gemini, they have already developed fully and perfected the mind, and the mind is becoming, or not even is becoming, is the expression of Buddhi in both cases. So it is this Gemini-Venus situation which lies behind the fact that our Earth is uniquely the planet of releasing sorrow and of purifying pain. Why is DK saying that our Earth is the planet of releasing sorrow and purifying pain? Because technically our logos, or our Earth, is not a sacred planet. It is still subject to its personality ray, which is ray 3, which means that it is still to some extent identified with the form, with the 3rd aspect. However, we will see later on, though, that DK tells us that on the inner plane, he's already a sacred planet, because he is identifying with the soul. He has already on the inner planes bound soul and form, but it's not expressed yet on the physical plane. So that's why DK says our Earth is uniquely the planet of releasing sorrow and purifying pain. As the Buddha says, that pain is and sorrow is all about the man identifying with desire for material things. So hence the sorrow and the pain. So the energy, so let's reread this sentence. So Gemini and Venus situation lies behind the fact that our Earth is uniquely that planet of releasing sorrow and purifying pain. And the energy producing these releasing factors being focused through Mercury and Venus upon the Earth. That is the energy which will allow the soul to release that identification with its personality, is being poured through Mercury and Venus on Earth. So that is the synthetic ray of love wisdom from Venus and Mercury facilitates the transformation of Earth into love wisdom and helps our logos to detach from its personality forces. But this is likely to occur in the 5th round. We've got another full 5th round to go before that can fully happen. But it is happening now, though. And we will see this a little bit later. So men's, that is our humanity, life problem is affected potently then by the two major influences which beat upon the human kingdom. That is the ray of the solar system, the ray of love and wisdom, and the cosmic ray of the planet, which is the personality ray of our planetary logos, that is ray 3. So we have these two in conflict. But on Earth, there is already this Geminian process of the waning of humanity's personality and the waxing of humanity's soul. We are evolving. More and more, man is becoming potently attracted to his soul. And this produces a tremendous revolution in his entire life. And this revolution is happening now, we are told, on such a universal scale in the lives of individuals. The attractive power of the soul grows steadily, while the pull of the personality weakens just as steadily. So this Geminian process is occurring, particularly now that humanity is going through its first initiation, where the heart center itself is ignited. And two transmutations are occurring at the same time. The forces of the solar plexus are raised to the heart center, and while the sacral forces are also raised to the throat chakra. So in the heavens also, we have that fusion of soul and body taking place. Venus, the soul, and Earth, ray 3, the body, the form, are in the process of blending under the auspices of the twin brothers, Castor and Pollux of Gemini. And the hierarchical ruler of Gemini is the Earth itself. And Sagittarius, the opposite of, the polar opposite of Gemini. The Earth is also the esoteric ruler of Sagittarius. So we have the Earth. What's the word here? Rules both constellations, one hierarchically and the other esoterically. Earth stands for the sphere of experience. What that really means is that the Earth, the cosmic Christ, the Christ consciousness is gradually unfolding on Earth. And Earth, therefore, is the experience for the soul to looking for the word here, to control and to subject the lower vibration of its personality to the higher vibration of the soul. That's what's happening on Earth. And Sagittarius and Gemini are the only two constellations ruled by the Earth. And this is of major significance, creating an unusual situation in the solar system and a unique relation. Earth itself is on a small scale an intermediary or a relating planet because it is found ruling both Gemini and Sagittarius. And so the cosmic line of force from Gemini to Sagittarius and the reverse from Sag to Gemini is subjectively and esoterically related to our Earth being the only ruler of these two. Now, here's the most important statement here. And that, therefore, guarantees its soul, its soul development and the unfoldment of form as an expression of that soul. So this is what's going on in the Earth under the influence of the rulers of Gemini and Sagittarius, is that the soul of humanity is gradually gaining control over the dweller on the threshold of its personality. And therefore, Earth is guaranteed to have the soul aspect unfolded and developed. And we are told that in the old commentary it is said that when the dual forces of the cosmic brothers, Gemini, become the energy of the one who rides towards the light, Sagittarius, then the fourth becomes the fifth, that is, humanity, the link, becomes hierarchy, that is, becomes the fifth kingdom of souls, is born on earth. And that kingdom is the bestower of all good. Then all the sons of God rejoice. So how is this transformation, a transmutation occurring? Sirius, we are told, is a very important factor in the spiritual life of the planet. And it brings its energies to bear directly upon hierarchy, that is, on the heart of our logoic, on our logos. A stream of energy coming from the sun, Sirius, enters directly into hierarchy and carries with it the principle of Buddhi, of cosmic love. And this, in a mysterious way, is the principle found at the heart of every atom. Hence, DK's statement that love underlies the entire universe. Because not only is it found in every atom on Earth, but it is also found in every atom in our solar system and in the universe. Mercury expresses the fourth ray energy, which is Buddhi. It is intuitional. It is expressive of the Christ, as Mercury and the Sun are one. So the law of freedom governs life on Sirius and the lives of all those who inhabit Sirius. The law of freedom. What is it? That principle of freedom is a leavening energy which can permeate substance in a unique manner. And that principle of freedom is one of the attributes of deity, like will, love, or mind, that enables the spirit or the life aspect to free itself from the impact, the contact, and the influence of substance. DK calls it's the pulling away from form. That is, it allows the informing life to be detached in consciousness from the impact, from the contact, and the influence of matter. That is, even though it is surrounded in a sheath of matter or astral or etheric or mental matter, but it is no longer influenced by it. It is free from the influence or the pull of matter. So this law of freedom, this is the one which is responsible for Sanat Kumara to be known as the great sacrifice. For under the control of that law, he created our planetary life and all that is within and upon it in order to learn to wield that law with full understanding and in full consciousness, and yet at the same time to bring release to the myriad forms of his creation. That is to bring, to enhance the soul within the core of every atom, every unit, to be able to release that soul and not allow matter then to influence and to subject that inner life to its energy, or to its forces rather, energies, to its forces, to its pull, to its influence. So we are told that it's that principle of freedom which rules the lives on Sirius, which is the soul of our solar logos, which enables Sanat Kumara then to dwell on earth and yet stands free from all contact of matter and not being affected and subjected to the pull of matter. Buddhi is found then at the heart of the tiniest atom, and it's electric fire. It's called electric fire in the center, the heart of the atom. For the positive central life of every atom is but an expression of cosmic Buddhi, and the downpouring of a love which has its source in the heart of the solar logos. So it's the life aspect of the solar logos which flows into every atom of our solar system. Now, this is in itself the emanating principle from the one above our logos, that is, the one whom naught may be said, the cosmic logos. So it's not just here on Earth, but in the solar system, but in the entire universe, where that electric fire or Buddhi resides in the very, very heart, in the very core of every atom. So indeed, love underlies the entire universe. Now we understand the opening statement that love underlies the entire universe. The second solar system of three systems, first, second, and third, and we are on the second, in the second solar system, is primarily that of the sun, that is of the soul, wherein the quality of the second divine aspect, consciousness, love, is being perfected. So hence we can say that the quality of the nature of God, whether the God is this Logos who inhabits our earth, or the God that inhabits our solar system, or the God that inhabits our universe. The quality of the nature of that being is essential love. And DK wants to remind us that love is not a sentiment or a feeling, but it is that great principle of attraction, of desire, of magnetic pull. And within our solar system, it's that principle that demonstrates as the attraction and the interplay between the pairs of opposites, which is a very Geminian characteristic. The ebb and flow, attraction and repulsion. So that it allows for then the unfoldment of the cosmic Christ consciousness. So this interplay between the pairs of opposites provide every needed grade or type of unfoldment for consciousness, whether it's the consciousness of the mineral kingdom, which we don't really understand what that is like, to the anima mundi, to the animal soul, then to the human soul, and then finally to the divine soul. Every type of unfoldment for consciousness. What is then the nature of Sanat Kumara, the great sacrifice? The planetary logos created our planet strictly then for redemptive purposes. And this little planet of ours is essentially unique in its purpose and its techniques. And that on it and within it, a great redemptive experiment is going forward. This sacrifice that is, the sacrifice of creating our planet and incarnating in this planet, was imperative in the fullest sense, owing to the ability of our planetary logos to identify himself in full consciousness with the soul in all forms of life, latent within the planetary substance. And that's what we meant by this statement here. Provides every needed grade or type of unfoldment for consciousness. So this soul has evolved from the anima mundi all the way to the divine, a soul in the super lives of hierarchy. And because of this identification, therefore, he couldn't refuse that invocative appeal of the seeds of life striving within the substance of the form and seeking added life and light, as the old commentary puts it. And in Esoteric Psychology 2, round about page 90, when DK talks about sacrifice, if you have some time, friends, reread that particular passage of the Logos being so compassionate that he could not resist creating that earth, our earth, so that he could help the soul struggling within that life within matter to evolve. And for that, he needed the help of the solar angels to be able to do that in the human kingdom, to make our human soul divine. So then we can see the purpose. We have a little glimpse of the purpose of our planetary logos, is to make the substance of the solar system intelligent, loving substance. That is, unfold the soul aspect in every form of life, so that the soul eventually controls matter. So we are told that at the close of our planetary life, at which time the last weary pilgrim will have found his way home, the earth can then be prepared for a new humanity. So when this happens, our planet will no longer be known as the planet of sorrow and pain, that is, where the soul identifies with matter, but it will be distinguished by a quality of tranquility and by an aura of calm potency, wherein the will of God to be demonstrated in the next solar system will be focused. So that is, by the time all of us, we would have moved back home, the bulk of humanity anyway, moved back home on Sirius, then our earth will be loving its substance will be completely transmuted into loving substance. And this, in some mysterious way, will enable the solar logos, not our planetary logos, we are told, to bring the first great divine aspect, that is that of will or power, into expression throughout the solar system. So for will to be revealed, then matter must be loving substance, the soul being truly the intermediary between spirit and form, then would have done its work of transforming matter into love. And instead, therefore, of the statement which explains our present solar system, where God is love, we will have a dynamic expression of the will to good, an energy which will have been generated to some extent upon our earth. Important statement here. That will to good is the energy that we will generate on earth with the help of our solar angels. This is the reward which the present earth humanity will reap, that is us. This is the consummation of the preordained task of our planetary logos. He undertook, when he came into incarnation through the medium of our little planet, to aid the work of the solar logos in expressing the will of divinity. So Christ and the hierarchy of redeemers are all aligned with that divine goal of redemption, of making matter more soul-infused. And the entire hierarchy, with its great leader, the Christ, the present world symbol, may be regarded as a hierarchy of redeemers, skilled in the science of redemption. And the second ray of love and wisdom is the healing ray par excellence. The Christ being the truest exponent, or he is the embodiment of cosmic love on earth, was the greatest, or is the greatest of all the healing sons of God. The Christ, the head of the hierarchy of redeemers, the heart center of our Logos, is the master of all masters and the teacher alike of angels and of men. He embodies the cosmic principle of love on earth, and he is the world healer and savior. He works because he is the embodied soul of all reality. So then us healers, we too are redeemers. Soul healing or esoteric healing produces the pouring into and through the mechanism of the patient of pure soul energy. So we are aligned with the will of our Logos, with the will of Christ, with the will of the solar Logos. So we're all aligned with that same goal. And it was in this way that Christ worked, and hence it must be held before you as healers as an objective. And this is exactly what we do as healers. So let's sum up. The main objective of these 4 energies of the mutable cross, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, is to produce that constant flux and periodic change in time and space, which will provide a field of adequate experience for the unfoldment of the Christ life and consciousness. Now, here's an important statement here. This is the case, cosmically speaking. That is, it is going on in the cosmos and in the solar system, on our planet, and within each human being. The Christ consciousness is unfolding. And very much like panning for gold, the pan is like the influences of these 4 signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and Pisces, swishing matter in the ocean of life to find that golden soul nugget. Hence the ebb and flow, the interplay between the opposites. And the second solar system, to reiterate, is that of the sun, that is the soul, wherein the quality of the second divine aspect, love, is being perfected in the whole cosmos. And the evolution of the sun, or the cosmic incarnation of the Christ in the whole cosmos, is of immense importance in the plan of the being greater than our solar logos, that is the cosmic logos, he about whom naught may be said. Reiteration here, love is not a sentiment or a feeling. It is an energy. It is that second cosmic ray of love and wisdom, the great fundamental ray of our solar system. That is, it is the life aspect of our solar logos. It is the attractive, magnetic solar energy to which we give the quite unsuitable name of love. It is this energy which constitutes the cohering, unifying force which holds the manifested universe or planetary form together. That is, it is the glue which holds all of us together on Earth. All the planets around. It is that around the sun. It is the glue, that unifying force that holds the manifested universe, all the planetary form together, and is responsible for all relationships. All the 7 rays are the sub-rays of the great cosmic ray of love wisdom, which is ever expressive of relationship implemented under the law of attraction. So we can say then that Gemini has a very special connection to Earth. Because Gemini is the point of entrance of cosmic love from Sirius in our solar system, the logos of Sirius and our planetary logos on Earth have a very special relationship. And Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world, is conditioned by the Sirian cosmic law of freedom. Our logos has thus a very special connection to Gemini through its rulers, Mercury and Venus, as we saw earlier on. So conclusion, friends, Gemini and love. The second ray of love and wisdom pours through Gemini, hence love underlies the entire universe. And we go back to our opening statement in this webinar. Love underlies the entire universe. God is love. Gemini controls, esoterically, the heart of our solar system and controls the pulsation of life which sustains all that is. And Gemini is therefore connected with the heart of the sun, the love of the whole. And thank you, friends. Now, I do have another 30-odd slides, but we are not going to have any time for it today. So I will just show that to you. Right. We do have why is Gemini then so important in healing? Gemini in the heart center. But this was presented in the June 2023 webinar. So you can look up on our website all of this material. So therefore, to conclude, friends, let's say the great invocation together with Michael.
Let's work with the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Thank you, Michael. And now let's raise our clasp hands above the head and say, and so let it be, and help us to do our part. And bring them down to your forehead and let them rest on your heart. Friends, just reminding you, on Sunday the 8th, we will have our Christ Festival service, gathering all our Portuguese, Vietnamese, Spanish communities, and of course English communities together. Especially this year, let's make a special effort to be all together, appealing to the Christ on behalf of humanity, so that Christ can then offer that appeal and invocation to Shambhala.
Tradução. Eu não recebi esse material para traduzir, entendeu?
And then just before the full moon, friends, we have our garden visualization on June the 10th at 7:30 p.m. within the 12 hours of the actual full moon, which is on the 11th at 7:43 p.m. a.m. GMT. And so we will leave it at that for today. Because otherwise we will be going for another hour or so. So is there anything that you would like to share or comment on the presentation today?
Wonderful job, Nicole. Thank you. Very simple and easy to understand.
Thank you, Barbara. We tend to just look at our earth because that's what we are connected with. That's what we can see. But this influence of Gemini is really pervasive throughout the whole universe, which is extraordinary to even think. On this large scale. Okay, friends, thank you so much for your presence. And this will be on the website so that you can look through and ponder on DK's words as you go through this period of Gemini